Hi, I'm Heather Warlick.
And I'm George Lang.
And this is Weekend Look, your guide to entertainment news in Oklahoma and the world. And this week, it's all about Oscar nominations.
Yes, it is.
It seems like several contenders pretty much got snubbed, while some unexpected others might take home some Oscars.
That's right. The Dark Knight, which was the top grossing film of 2008 and one of the most critically acclaimed of 2008 as well.
Yeah.
We expected that to at least get a Best Picture nod, possibly a nod for Best Director, Christopher Nolan. It was nowhere to be found.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you saw The Dark Knight, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean. To me, it's a real shock. The idea that a movie that did so well with the general public and also was critically loved just is really nowhere to be found, except in the case of Heath Ledger.
Right, one year from the day that he was, pronounced dead. And
that's right.
It was announced that he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
That's right, and I think he's a shoo-in. I don't think that there's some genuine competition there, but I don't see that that anybody else can possibly win against him. It was a great performance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, there were some other movies that were snubbed, right? The Wrestler.
Yeah, with the exception of Mickey Rourke's performance,
mm-hmm.
which really is the linchpin for the film, and he's nominated for Best Actor. No one else, and Marissa Tomei,
right.
Of course. Marissa Tomei got a Best Supporting Actor nod, but the director Darren Aronofsky didn't get noticed, and the film itself, and
well, what about Gran Torino, Clint Eastwood's film? How's that doing on?
Kind of it's doing very well. I mean, it's a mostly a high approval rating there. But and I think a lot of people were expecting to see Clint Eastwood either get a Best Actor nomination or a Best Director. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are saying or speculating that this might be Clint Eastwood's last performance.
Right.
And you would have thought that they might have gotten it in. I mean, that seems to be sort of the Oscar way of doing things. Mm-hmm. He's not there.
And there were some surprises too at the announcements. We've got The Reader.
Yes, The Reader has been well received critically, but doesn't seem to be on the level of some of the other nominations. So yeah, and now they're saying that Kate Winslet is maybe an odds-on favorite to win in the Best Actress mm-hmm. category, and The Reader might do very, very well, and I was completely it was unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of not surprises, I guess you'd say, would be The Curious Case of Benjamin Button,
right?
Slumdog Millionaire.
Mm-hmm. All of those, and Benjamin Button got the most nominations of the
mm-hmm.
of the day. I think it was 13.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty huge. Well, what about some are speculating that there just weren't that many great movies to choose from because of the Writers Guild strike last year. What do you think about that, George?
Well, here's the thing. I'm thinking that because the writers' strike, we were covering this a lot.
Endlessly.
I'd say ad nauseum. Okay, we were talking about it every single week when it was going on last year. But it takes a while for a movie to get made. I mean, a lot of this speculation, I don't know that it's really true in this case, because it does take a lot of time for something to get from the printed page all the way to the screen.
Yeah.
And so I don't think so. I think the real impact of the writer's strike is going to be felt this year and maybe even next, because all of that time was spent on the picket line and not in production. So I think a lot of the things that we're seeing on the screen and nominated this year were things that were already in the can and ready to go, mm-hmm. for the most part.
Well, Gus Van Sant's Milk snagged 8 Oscar nominations.
Yes.
That's
mm-hmm.
Not a surprise, or is it a surprise?
No, it's a great film, and it's covering a major player in the civil rights struggle for gay rights, Harvey Milk, and there was an acclaimed documentary a couple of years ago, The Life and Times of Harvey Milk, Sean Penn is fantastic in it. It's one of those rare moments where you can actually forget that you're watching Sean Penn. He completely disappears into this role. It's pretty amazing. So yeah, it's a great film. Not too much of a surprise.
Okay.
Not too much.
All right, now we're going to play a little game. This will
Okay.
be fun. And the winner is, and you get to predict who will win. We're going to do 3 categories. First, we're going to do Best Picture. Okay.
Slumdog Millionaire.
All right. Well, I have to say who the nominees are. It's just that easy.
Okay.
And the nominees are The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Frost Nixon, Milk, The Reader, and Slumdog Millionaire.
Slumdog Millionaire.
Okay.
This film is I don't know. It just seems to have a certain momentum behind it. It's a transcendent film. People who don't normally gravitate to that type of film, particularly something that is set in India, in Mumbai, and it's got elements of the Bollywood musical to it, and it's almost like a Charles Dickens story that's been transplanted, and it's also it incorporates Who Wants to Be a Millionaire into it, but it is such an engaging story. People have really gravitated toward it. I think it's going to win.
Okay.
I do.
Great. All right. Well, Best Actor, we've got Richard Jenkins from The Visitor, Frank Langella from Frost Nixon, Sean Penn from Milk, Brad Pitt in Curious Case of Benjamin Button, and Mickey Rourke, The Wrestler.
I don't want to have to pick from these guys because it's a great roster all across the board. All of these guys did great work this year, but it's going to be Mickey Rourke. And part of it is Oscar loves a good backstory, okay? And Mickey Rourke, he's been sort of on the sidelines of Hollywood for the better part of 2 decades. The Wrestler finally gives him an opportunity to build a character from the ground up. It's about a down and out wrestler named Randy the Ram Robinson, who was really big in the 80s, but like a lot of people in those kind of professions, he didn't have a safety net, he wasn't watching his money, and he falls on really hard times, both professionally, emotionally, with his family, and physically, because that's obviously punishing work. So it's a really amazing film, and he does great work in it. I think he's going to win.
Okay. Best Actress. And the nominees are Anne Hathaway for Rachel Getting Married, which we have not spoken about, and Angelina Jolie for Changeling, Melissa Leo, is it Leo?
Yeah.
Okay, from Frozen River, Meryl Streep from Doubt,
Right.
and Kate Winslet for The Reader.
Wow. Okay. Now, my personal pick, who I think should win, is Anne Hathaway. Rachel Getting Married was my #1 film of last year. Just an incredible performance by Hathaway at the center of it, as this sort of this girl who's in rehab and is taken out on a weekend pass to go to her sister's wedding in Connecticut, and it's all about that struggle with the family, and she's just extraordinary at it. But let's kind of go back to what we were talking about The Reader. I think Kate Winslet's going to win it. She first of all has a certain momentum coming off of the Golden Globes, where she won 2. I think that she stands a really good chance, but it's tight competition. Meryl Streep could win for her great performance in Doubt, so we'll see.
Right.
But I'm going to lean toward Winslet on that.
Okay, well, there you have it. George Lane's predictions on the Oscars, which are February 22nd.
That's right.
And you need to log on to, what are you doing? You're doing live blogs, you're doing live chat
That's right.
rooms.
We're going to have live chats. We're going to have, we have an online contest through newsok.com. We also have, well, let's see, Gene Triplett, the entertainment editor, myself, Matt Price, we're all going to be doing live chat. Brandy McDonnell is going to do a live blog of the evening, and so there's going to be all kinds of things going on.
Lots of interaction
That's
there.
right.
Okay,
That's
great.
right.
Well, that's all we've got for this week. So for more about movies, music, and everything else entertaining, check out the Weekend Look section of The Oklahoman, the A&E section of newsok.com, the latest issue of Look at OKC, and of course, wingo.com. For Weekend Look, I'm Heather Warlick.
And I'm George Lang.
Have a great weekend.